Welcome Underhive scumbags to episode 5 of Chronicles from the Underhive, a Necromunda and Post Apocalyptic podcast. I'm Tom, and then Aaron and Michael need to work out who to go first.
We're not.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Michael.
Yeah, we're going to keep it like this. And today you've got to put on your headscarf and your bandana, and it's time to dive into the Orlocks. Sorry for the delay. This seems to be the cursed episode. First, we had to cancel because of me and Aaron mucking about moving house, so we had to actually find time where we could view properties. And then, obviously, we had the weather stopping our next one.
Yeah.
So it made getting here a bit of a challenge.
The big freeze.
Yeah.
It's alright though, because now we're just like every other podcast in the world, because they always have a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
We're like professionals now.
But yeah, I didn't want to write off my only car for the family trying to get down here. So yeah, so we got it today, but it does mean that there's only a very short gap between this one and the next one because they're both being recorded in March. So you'll have this one and then the one just before Salute, which will come out probably incredibly late into March or very, very early into April.
So I'm back here in the country on the 23rd.
And I think we're recording on the 24th or something, aren't we?
You're not allowed to have a holiday. Cancel it. I've got a passport.
Aaron forgets when we agree a date and then gets surprised when it comes up. In regards to what's been happening, I've been speaking to Kevin from Promethean Forge, who sent us our MDF terrain, which I'll be painting. I'll discuss that in the next bit, what we've been up to.
You're about halfway though, aren't you?
Yeah.
The bulk of it.
Yeah, and the large bits are just the big floor plates, which I could get through pretty quickly, and the steps, and they're only going to be black, silver, and then I'm going to dust on the rust rather than the other way around, which was causing me a pain with this stuff. So yeah, hopefully that'll be done pretty quickly.
Have you had a problem with the pigment coming off? Like the dust?
No. Well, I didn't. What I did do, the whole idea was it was supposed to be chipping that I was trying first.
Yeah.
So the rust was just spray, so it was orange and red spray, and then because the chipping didn't work, I then had to then go over that with the colour that I wanted the plates to be, and then touch the silver on. Whereas hopefully now, because it's getting it all silver or whatever colour I want it to, and then just touching on the rust, it should actually be a lot quicker.
Cool.
So then that'll be done. He's been talking about maybe being able to provide us with something for another competition.
Nice.
And if it's the thing that he's said it's possible, then it's going to be a pretty sweet competition. So I'll be speaking to him in the future and trying to work out what we can do in regards to the competition so that everyone has a full op, because it can't be reviews, because reviews are really difficult to get from different countries, and I really want to make sure that everyone has a full big chance of being able to get this, because it's a pretty sweet piece of terrain. So we will get back to you. Also, you might get confused between the intervals between segments, because a guy called Frank Spartzi, his musical alter ego is Flame Punk. He sent me an album called Amathane Psychosis. He thought that he wanted to create an album that was sort of a tribute to Necromunda. So yeah, he's pretty cool. Sent us an album of music.
Yeah,
and
sounds awesome.
Yeah, and we've picked some snippets. So I don't know if he's wanting to in the future put it out for other people to listen to. I'll have to speak to him separately. But for the moment, if you wonder why we've got random music in between, it's because
Aaron remembered.
Yeah. Aaron remembered to put it in.
Yeah, don't worry.
Also, I know you guys, you've been messaging me every so often some really cool stuff. If you want to suggest something, or you think there's something cool, or there's a question, the best way now is we've got an email address. So all one word is chroniclesfromtheunderhive@gmail.com. So if you guys want to email us anything, it'll be easier via email rather than Messenger app and all those bits and pieces. So just send us something there.
Pictures.
Keep it clean.
Yeah, please, because I might even read some at work, so I don't want anything popping up that shouldn't, or at least put in the subject title that I can't open it at work.
NSFW, not safe for work.
You may regret having that email.
Well, I can always close it.
They're gonna flame you now. Tom.
If you do send something, I will generally reply to it. Even so, if you send me something and 2 weeks later you haven't had a response and you're thinking, oh, he'll just be waiting for the podcast, just remind me, because it's probably not. I'm just checking I'm recording. Yep. It's probably not that I'm waiting, it's probably that I've forgotten. So if in doubt, just send me another email and just say, I just wanted to make sure you got that. I'm not going to get annoyed or anything. It's not an email that I'm going to have explode with stuff. So please feel free to remind me in the future if I haven't replied to you. And the last thing before we get into the second segment technically, is you guys, we've had recently on the Facebook group quite a few people, when they said, how did you find out about us? They've written that they've found it on iTunes. They've just typed in Necromunda on the podcast or whatever the podcast that they use, and we're one of the ones that comes up. The problem is that there's big podcasts that will do one episode dedicated to Necromunda, and unfortunately the way that especially iTunes works is that it will flash them up straight away. Yeah. So the difficulty is, if we start disappearing down off the map, people who are just trying to type Necromunda to find a podcast will get lots of episodes from big companies who are just doing one episode where they're talking about Necromunda a little bit, and they won't get to see this podcast. So if you can, guys, if it's not too much issue, if you can go on and just put a review on, if it's 5-star, that would be helpful. And if you want to make a comment about what you think might make it better, or if you've got anything you want to say, like I say, email Chronicles from the Underhive instead. And if there was a problem that you thought there might be an issue, at least we can have a conversation about it on there. So that would be great if you guys could do that. We will actually now be getting on to segment 2, what we've been up to, and you won't have to hear my voice first. So, and you might even hear the music now. So I will stop it now, and you might even hear one of the pieces of music from Frank. So thank you.
Shoes on.
That's it.
Let's go.
Get some raving on, and here we go. Okay, welcome back to segment 2, which is what we've been up to. We've confirmed the date for the podcast. I made the mistake. It's actually going to be Easter Sunday when we record, and then it will be available to you guys before. I know obviously America, it's not relevant at all, and all the other countries, but anyone who goes to Salute, it'll be ready for then, so you've got something to listen to on the journey up.
Or while you're waiting in the queue to get in.
Oh yeah, waiting in the queue.
Prime time.
I love listening. But then I always find the fun bit of the queue is when you kind of see in the distance someone you recognise.
And then you post it up on the forum, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm just over there.
Or you're in the queue, but you're so British that you don't want to kind of cut in to join your friends, so you just talk to each other as you pass, because it's a zigzag line that we all have to queue. So every time you go past them, you then got a 5-minute interval where you can chat, and then you go off, and then you come back again. It's like when you bump into someone you don't like at shopping, and then every time you go down the aisle, you're crossing them as you come back. Pain in the bum. But sorry, digress. What we've been up to, I'm not going to go first. I'm going to leave it to someone else.
Yep, I'll go first if you like. I've been doing loads of stuff that's not Necromunda. A shame.
But we will be talking about it.
We are going to talk about it profusely. I did purchase Gang War 2. Obviously, that is the obligatory purchase since the last podcast. So I'm fully up to speed with the Orlocks, if you like. But what I've really been doing, I've just been doing loads of reading. I've got such a backlog of stuff. I went mad a few years ago buying a load of the Warhammer Fantasy End Times books, and I haven't read them. But last year I I actually read the big rule book, all the fluff in there, because I've been playing fantasy forever, or been into it forever. I just never read the backstories. I just couldn't be bothered. All I could do was just play with toys. So I've read the rule book. I've picked up a few novels for the different characters in the world. I've been reading those, and I've got maybe 3 more books to read. Then I can start on the end time ones, and then finally get up to the Age of Sigmar. But that's not Necromunda, so let's stop talking about that.
Yeah, it's still fun.
It's still hobby, yeah. So hobby-wise, I've been sorting out my crane that I've been constructing.
Oh, mega crane.
So I'm really pleased with how the base has come out for that. It's basically a bit of 6mm MDF that I've glued a kid's toy crane to it. It's in 2 sections. So I've put the bottom half on, I've cut a hole in the top of a bastion, and then slipped that over the top, and then built a load of bits around the 4 plastic legs of this crane to disguise it and hopefully make it look less like a toy. And finally got the paint on that, and it's looking really good. I haven't done any rust effects on it, so like too much. I've started, but I haven't gone mad because I want to wait until I've done the top section, and then I can assemble it, and then I'll do all the rust at the same time. Yeah. Because otherwise, I'm going to do the bottom bit, and I'll get enthusiastic. I'll do loads of other things. I'll run out of the paints that I'm using it. I'll buy some new stuff. Go to the top half, and it won't match.
Or you'll forget the combination that you used.
So I'm leaving the final dressing of it until it's all done. So that's really my next hobby project. Other than Gene Stealer Cult, which has got me excited.
Yeah.
So there's the crane. I've also been building more cars for Gaslands, which we should talk a little bit more about later on in the show. I'm just finding that incredibly fun, just to pick a random toy car.
I'm taking a Michael Crotch shot.
Yeah, it's not going to be a nice photo, that's for sure.
I'll definitely take some better ones as well.
Thank you. So I've been building random cars, putting weapons on them and rusting them up. And it's just a really fun little project to do. So there's that. What else have I done? In an effort to try and not be as poor as what I am, I've given up the idea of ever playing Guild Ball. Years ago when that first came out, I went in heavily with the Kickstarter and basically bought everything for all the teams.
Wow.
And I've just decided to sell that because although I unpacked it all and I assembled all the models, I just never actually played, and I thought it was ridiculous. I've got hundreds of pounds worth of stuff just sat in a box in the garage. Someone else can be getting some use out of that. So I sold that. We were sorry to see it go, obviously, but you can't keep everything forever. No. And if I'm not playing it, there's no point.
They're the same as my Blood Angels.
Yeah.
I'm shaking my head. You should never sell your Blood Angels.
Then the final thing I've done was harking back to the fantasy stuff. I actually played a couple of games of Age of Sigmar. I went to Manufactured Conflict, which is a club in Dartford. Mancon. I finally made it to one of their all-day events. It used to be every quarter or so they'd do an all-day thing on a weekend rather than a regular club night in the week. And I've been promising myself to get to one of those forever. And scheduling and work and everything has just conspired against me. Finally I managed to make it, so I played a game of Age of Sigmar down there. That was a blast. I didn't win, because I never win anything. But it's all good fun. And then I played the wife a couple of days ago, gave her a game of Age of Sigmar to get her up to speed.
Did she beat you?
She did.
See a theme here.
And what made it worse is that I wasn't trying to lose. It just went all horribly wrong. But that's not Necromunda, so over to Aaron.
So what have I been up to? Okay, Gang War 2 book, I've got that. Completing a backlog of projects. So as I'm trying to move house, I'm trying to get rid of all the stuff that I've got sort of piled up in my bedroom, trying to paint it up and sell it. My current project is Gulliman. I was getting his wrong name. So I'm painting him up at the moment. I've done his base, painted that all up. It looks really, really cool. Just got to put the model together now. I've kind of got it in pieces at the moment. It's all on cocktail sticks because that's the way I paint it all in
With a gin and tonic in hand.
It's the Forge World one, isn't it?
No, I don't really like the Forge World one.
Oh, so I think it's the big old
the
Games
big old,
Workshop one.
the Triumvirate, the
Cool.
box set. So I painted up the other two guys, sold them off, and it's just him remaining. So yeah, I haven't put them all together. It's all in bits and pieces because I prefer to paint the bits separately. Allows you to get behind all the bits and bobs. So you can get right in there with a paintbrush. And so that's my project at the moment. Still painting up my Goliaths as well. They're a bit of a side project at the moment while I try and get rid of stuff out of my room. Also, I've been looking at the new Fallout miniature game. That's kind of tempted me. It's a little bit on the expensive side. The introductory game, it only comes with 11 models and it's £70. And it comes with a few resin pieces as well, so a little bit on the expensive side. So I don't know yet. I might pick it up at Salute from one of the other third-party sellers. They might give a discount or something, or just buy the models separately because I think the models look really cool, and I love the video game. So that might be something for the future. And I think that's about it from me.
And you've been...
I finished reading Devastation of Baal, which was a brilliant book. Really delves into the background of the Blood Angels, about who they are and their successor chapters, and how the Rage and Bloodthirst... No spoilers, this ain't spoilers. How the Rage and Thirst affects each of the different successor chapters differently, and and how they feel about the Primaris Marines kind of start to take over, and you start to feel a little bit sorry for them, but it's a cool book, really good read. And also talks about tyrannies as well, which is another one of my loves, how they go about invading a planet, from the way they adapt to the planet, and they slowly start to take it over, and even before they win, they start to gradually strip the planet apart, which is really crazy. And how they're just endless in number. I mean, the Blood Angels killed millions, but it's like a drop in the ocean when there's billions.
They're coming out of the walls.
Yeah, they're coming out of the goddamn walls. But that's me for this month. Plus, I've got Nurgle's Rot. I've been blessed by Papa Nurgle, so I'm not on top form, but yeah.
You've survived it today.
I've survived.
Dosed up with nightmares.
Yeah, I've got Lemsip and cough drops, and I'm all good to go.
If you want to see Aaron's progress on Guilliman, the base and bits and pieces so far, it's on Instagram, isn't it? The Hungry Gamer, isn't it?
The Hungry Gamer.
And so if you did want to have a little look at what's stopping Aaron from doing the Goliaths, then you go have a look at the page. But it is really cool.
Yeah, I should have it done pretty soon, and then it'll be back onto Necromunda. I'm just trying to clear out everything so I've got less stuff to take with me into the new flat.
Awesome. Okay, so it's me. I don't know if I spoke about it in January, but I went to Warhammer World. Did I discuss that in January? No, and because we've not had the February one, so I went to Warhammer World with the Adeptus Terra podcast guys. It was actually the thing that you were going with Kieran and some of the Mancon. Was it Mancon guys?
Yeah, I'm not going to have to bear that.
But so it was really cool to bump into two lots of people at the same time. So that was really sweet. Went round the gallery, just carried on painting my Goliath models just on one of the little hobby stations. Went into Bugman's.
So you're that guy.
What does the hobby in?
Yeah, at Warhammer World.
This is what gets me when I go to the Adeptus to their bunker, to their place to play. I'm never playing. This is what I was saying to Michael. It's great that we've got 3 different sorts of people here. That Michael will play games and I'll just be in the corner cutting up models and sticking them together randomly. I barely ever play games, but it's good that this podcast forces me to, and also that that Michael's such a good dungeon master.
Yeah.
Well, seeing as my 2 test games were disastrous, I think the ones where I was trying to teach, I think is... But yeah, so I went to Warhammer World and that was great. I've completed the first half of the Promethean Force terrain, which we've already discussed. I'm going to varnish that as well, and I'm also going to try adding oil paints to that. So that'll be the first time for that. But if I can get that to work, then I know Aaron's wanting... You've tried it before, did you say you wanted to?
I've done oil paints on a miniature before, and it was interesting. It does smell a bit because you're mixing the oil paint with white spirit, and then it leaves like a shiny sheen. So you then have to go over it with like a matte varnish just to take that off. And you might need to go over the surface with a cotton bud just to take away some of the stuff that pulls. Well, it shouldn't really pull. If you put a gloss varnish on first, and then you put your wash on right after, and then put a matte on after that once it's dry. So give it about a day to dry. I don't know how it works with MDF though.
Yeah,
so I might have to test it out.
Yeah, I think, and then if it does work, then it's also something we can discuss in a bit about in Conversion Corner for something, because I think once I've now completed the second, because another bit of my thing was completing the Goliath. So I completed the Goliath Champion. I finished finally batch painting all of the Goliaths to the point now where they're at their individual painting stages. So they've all got the basic colours, they've all been washed, and now I'm picking out the skin, picking out all the highlights, and I'm going to do that on a 1-to-1 model basis.
I'll call that stage done.
It's just that it doesn't pop enough to me. But batch painting drives me insane. I mean, if I hadn't batch painted, then I'd have probably only completed 2 of the models fully completed, but I'd still have another 6 to do, whereas now I've got 6 that are ready to go, but I want to make them look like they're looking like the champion and the leader are. So a little bit more to go on that, and then that will be done. I'm going to then also be having a crack at Mike Thomas, a guy who's on the group. He sent us some examples of 3D terrain that he's printed. What he's told me is, I'm going to get photos of it so you guys have got an idea, but what he said was he sells things on eBay, and I'm going to get him to put the link up on eBay. But essentially, if you can find the bits that you want, if you message him directly on our group, he will be able to get you a better deal on it because he's not paying the eBay charges.
Yeah, that 10%,
Yeah, so it will save you money there as well. So once I've got the pictures up, I'm going to start working on that so you can get an update on that. But so basically, Michael will have the crane coming up and getting ready. I'm going to start getting the MDF done, and then I'm going to have a crack at the 3D stuff, which is essentially all the scattered terrain and bits and pieces. And then we'll be good to go for proper 3D games.
Hopefully we can get a game in around that Easter.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping is that we've obviously got the recording for Easter holiday, which is a big old episode anyway, because we're talking about Gene Stealer cults and the hired guns and bounty hunters and stuff. But definitely after Salute, want to get table out, terrain all up, cranes, and then we might even then try and do that sort of recording thing. But we're going in bit by bit, so we try one bit and go, and then. And now we're on Instagram, and then we're going to try and work out how to get YouTube going up as well. So it's all going to be slowly, but we'll all have lots of pictures and bits and pieces. So like I say, thank you, Mike Thomas, for sending us the examples of what you got. I'm going to get pictures of all of them, and we will get this will be one of the times where we generally do have an eBay thing, but it's just so that you can then have a look at what's available, and then you can message him directly.
The interesting thing about that is you said that he's quite approachable with ideas for stuff that he could do. Because there might be opportunities of doing different scale stuff. There's barrels and there's crates and things like that. So I'm thinking of games like Gaslands, which is a smaller scale miniature. I don't know what scale they are really, but they're Matchbox car size. So a barrel for a 40k 28mm scale is massive compared with that. But if he's essentially got the CAD drawing done, and you've only got to rescale that, and then you can print it out, and I can't see that being too much of a hardship.
So is this guy only on eBay? Does he have a website?
He doesn't. I don't believe he has a website currently. I think that was one of the things he said he was looking into. I'm just trying to remember when I've been messaging him, but At the moment, he doesn't. But like I say, if I can get the link up, and then if you then knew you wanted some MDF to some 3D terrain, you can always message him and ask him, can you link me to your eBay? So even if you lose the post that we can put up and it's disappeared right down the bottom and you can't find it, just message Mike directly and he can give you an idea of where his...
It's pretty good. I mean, it's really high res stuff. It's not that shoddy 3D printed terrain that you see all about. It's pretty high res.
And it's quite cool because it's on like panels.
Yeah.
He's like 3D printed loads of stuff on panels. I mean, this makes no sense while I'm trying to explain it to you now, but you can then just be cut free and you can then have it exactly where you want it.
Yeah.
But like I say, it'll make more sense when I've put pictures up, and it will be part of, obviously when I release the podcast, always lump a load of pictures together, so those things will be part of that lump of pictures. So
if you do contact him, then feel free to mention that you heard about him from our podcast, and he might send us some free stuff.
But that's all we've been up to. So God, the confirmed news, I mean, it's been a while, but the confirmed news is going to be a fair whopper because we've obviously had the Forge World Weekender, so we've got a fair lot, and I know a lot of you guys have heard about this from other bits and pieces, but we'll go through anyway what we've seen and what we think looks cool in our next bit, which is confirmed news. Okay, welcome to segment 3, which is confirmed news. Obviously, sadly, none of us could make the Forge World Weekender, but we've all seen the awesome slides and bits and pieces of the stuff that's become available since. I know Gang War 2 was part of one of the things you could buy on that day, but for us it came out 2 weeks later. So talking about some of the slides, you've got the 3 models that came in the pack. So there's Lumpy Nox, Mad Dog Mono with the one eye lens on his or her head, and Yolanda Scorn, which was the bounty hunter. Yeah. You've obviously got Grendel Grendelson, who's awesome. The squat. Kira the Huntress Death Maiden, which was pretty sweet, but I don't think she's in Gang War 2. Then you got Iros Slagmist, which was the enhanced bounty hunter. He is in, I'm saying he, I don't know if it's a he or she. That person is in the book.
I'm looking at you.
I'm sure it's a he.
I think
there's like a little
China. That's what I'm thinking. You got the Chinese blokes with the Chinese in socks and the whole Asian. Those guys.
Yeah. Michael does not represent the whole podcast in his views.
Or humanity.
And we will be pulling apart this book a lot more in the next episode. Bounty Hunters and Gene Stealer Cults. And then there's Eros Slagmist, Krotos Hark, the ex-Goliath bounty hunter, which didn't have a model, but you saw the slide for him. Then there were the really cool pets. There's the Slump Cock for the Goliaths, the Escher, was it a fur cat? I'm saying it's like it is, and the Coldor Bomb Rat, so that looked good. And then there's the Cherub, which from what I understand has some interesting rules. There's the really awesome model that I know Aaron likes, Slate Mad Dog, and his Cyber Mastiff. Yeah. I think that he's an Orlock. Orlock Big Boss, but he looks badass.
It's kind of reminiscent of one of the Chaos models in Age of Sigmar. God, I'm saying I'm on a bandwagon here.
That's what all my Goliath models are.
There's one of the Chaos guys, and he's got a dog accompanying him. So it's almost like a theme they've kind of picked on.
Yeah.
And but yeah, the Necromunda one certainly looks good.
The pets do look sweet.
Yeah.
And then there's the weapon upgrades coming up as well for the gang. So we will then get the rules so you can actually start loading out your models how you want them to be.
Yeah. It's quite funny because we don't actually want the models, we actually want just the rules. Just give us that shopping list so we can buy the bits.
I mean, the Orlocks ones are pretty sweet. Well, even they're all sweet. It's just a lot of the time I already had some models there. Yeah. I mean, I don't have Delac, so I would like the Delac models, like to see what they look like. And the Cawdor models I don't have. I know you do, but I don't have Cawdor models, so there will be times where I will be starting to buy the squads, and again, I won't be able to not muck about with them, but I will generally have them as the main body. So that would be really cool to actually have the weapons. And then some of the cool future project slides. So there was the guilds, like the Corpse Guild and Water Guild and the Promethean Guild. They showed artwork for the last 3 houses, but it was just mainly like the face. This is what a model's going to look like. They gave a little idea as to what each of those gangs were going to be. So Van Saal were the techno killers. They have the secret STCs. They laser and plasma, and they have the mechanical spiders. So it looks like that's going to be their little pet.
Yeah.
Like that giant one that you get from the terrain. That'd be cool as a pet.
I think I'm going to be liking them.
Yeah, and then there's the Delax, the creepy assassins, Master of Self, and All Secrets, which is very
cool.
Very similar to what they used to be. And the Cawdor, which is the malignant rabble, religious scavengers, and the teeming masses, which probably sounds like they're probably more going to be about quantity of characters.
It just kind of sums me up, really. I'd rather go to a cheap restaurant where you get a full plate than go somewhere for an a la carte meal.
You're all you can eat sort of guy.
Yeah.
I want to be dragged out because I've been there and eaten more than my quota.
So maybe that's why I've got an affinity for them.
Yeah. And then there's a really cool, like the ideas of the big bosses in the future, like the Goliath Overlord.
Oh, he looks sweet. Yeah. I think they put up some artwork of them.
Yeah, they look really cool. So when your gang gets even bigger, or I think they're saying like it's like a guy who's in control of a couple of gangs or like a big group. So you can then start having a really big game of Necromunda with really big gangs getting on and having a big old fight. There'll be brutes for all houses, which is fine because of where I replaced my Goliath leader, who was an ogre. I'll be able to use him as a brute now. So
what's a brute? Sorry, I must have missed this one.
They're kind of going to be, from what I understand, they said they're going to be like each gang can have brutes, so bigger guys or girls who will kind of be just so like your Big Sally, so you'll be able to have them model outside the pleasure dome. So there'll be bigger people, but they'll be against her, and but you can get big people for all your groups. And then there's the future settings. So the Outlands, I think, will be very similar to what it used to be with Scabies and such like. The Ash Wastes, which sounds interesting. Hopefully that might include get a bit Gorkamorkery in there, and even if we have vehicles and stuff, that'd be sweet. The Sump Sea, Hive Secundus, Hive Mortalis, so different hives, and then the Eye of Selene, which I think from a slide looked like it's kind of in space, like floating, like a building, like a spire in space, surrounded by other buildings. Yes,
that kind of.
So I mean, kind of leads us on to our listener question from Carl Walker. So after seeing the new feature releases such as Hive Mortis and Secundus, the Ash Waste, Sump Sea, what do you expect and what excites you? Do you see this game growing bigger than it did before?
Well, there's lots of questions that we're up there. For me, the thing that excites me the most, and it's probably going to come to nothing, is the mention of the Ash Wastes as a future setting, and then also reading the Orlock stuff, the mentioning of convoys and stuff, of transporting things from one place to another. All of a sudden, then you're thinking, well, not even so much Mad Max, but you just think, it's kind of Gorkamorka, but with human element to it. And you think, well, how easy would that be for them just to have another spin-off based on that? Or even if they just threw out some White Dwarf rules and say, look, go mad with this.
What was the name of the human people in Gorkamorka? That's going to be the test for today.
Yeah. I'll come back to you on that.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was just all orcs.
No, there was they added a human faction and they wanted to be orcs and they were just stuck there. But they, so they would dress up and get. But I can't.
They had muties or something like that. It was like mutant.
I'm gonna have a little.
Yeah.
We know what to do in the break time, so
good old Google.
This will be your
for
test.
me, it's like the surface battles of potentially having vehicles in the game, and we're seeing in our Facebook group and the other couple of Necromunda Facebook groups, people are building vehicles and stuff to act as scenery within their games. But how cool would it be if you could actually have some rules to be able to use them to do something?
Yeah. I know Trevor's built that thing now for the gate, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Drags along the thing. It's got the laser at the front and bits and pieces.
I call them the World Warriors.
Yeah.
It's easy enough to, if you just want to make up some rules for yourself for a particular scenario, like the crane that I'm building, that is certainly one of my intentions. I want to create a mission or a scenario for people to play on. That the crane is the feature. There is something about that. Whether it's you've got to destroy it or whether you've got a container hanging off of it and you've got to get that, you've got to stay in contact and control of that crane for a certain amount of time, spend a certain amount of action points to get that container into your gang's lair or something or other. So you can easily create rules, you just got to give it a try.
What about you, Aaron? What's exciting you?
What's exciting me? Well, this huge list of new models that are coming out. It's like you want them all, but you know you can't have them.
Is it like information wallet overload?
Yeah. So there was a lot of good stuff from that weekend, and I see it growing really big. I don't know how the game was like before. I only caught it on the sort of the tail end as it was not going out, but it stopped being sort of advertised in White Dwarf, so I can see it getting bigger. I see it going over to Forge World. I don't know if GW will continue to sell it in the shops. It might be like an mail order kind of thing, like it does with a lot of its games, like Lord of the Rings. But I do see Forge World supporting it for quite a while. I don't think it will ever go away. So yeah, I think it will be a big one, and I'll continue to play it. It's a cool game, and from what I've read in Gang War 2, it's started to go real deep into like what the units can do with every new release. Like the Orlocks, those guys can do some cool stuff, especially with the harpoon launcher. So yeah, and I'm really excited about the new houses that are coming out as well. So that yeah,
and I think I'm the same. I've got really excited when I saw all the different models and bits and pieces available. But even when it's about the future settings, like none of this is all going to kind of get dumped all at once. This will get released very slowly. But by the time we've got the basic 6, I think we'll be playing that for a while, and it won't be a rush to I need a new hive, I need a new this. It'll just be this is coming out now, and then it'll just be something else that you can add, and it won't need to be rushed. It won't. Once we've kind of got the basic game with all of the weapons out and everything, so that you can start and everything's there. Once you've got through the cycle of all the 6 gangs coming out, I think then we'll be good for a while, and then they can start drip feeding new bits, new hives, new whatever they're going to do.
Do you see like something like the Ash Waste one, just to pick that? Do you see Games Workshop perhaps releasing that as one of their 4x4 playmats that they do? Because they could fairly easily do that and just provide a 4x4 roll-out mat or fold-out play mat. And then people can either use that generically for 40 small games of 40k, or they can use that for Necromunda. And it wouldn't even be too much of an investment of effort, because if they filter the rules into the next Gang Wars book or something like that, and they just had that released alongside it, so it's only a bit of printing.
Yeah, well, I don't see why not.
Because they've got the pack of tiles in the Gang Wars 2 era, if you like. They're giving you some new rules for some different tiles, and then you can go and buy that pack of tiles. So they could do the sort of same thing with the Ash Wastes. They just give you 5 or 6 pages of rules and say, well, if you want to, you can buy this little either set of tiles or a mat.
And I think people are so resourceful that even if there was a car/vehicle based game and it was kind of on a track, like we've seen with people with the cheap garage stuff, plastic garage stuff.
Yeah, you can certainly 40k it up.
Yeah, and the amount of plastic tracks and things that exist, you can easily just make your own sort of thing where people are going to go insane and have bits where the one track goes over the other and there's a gap in the middle and you've got to make the jump, otherwise you crash through the bottom. So I think it's really cool. I just think the fact of not knowing is pretty cool as well, because I think once you get an idea of what you think it's going to be, if it's not what you think it is, then you're going to be disappointed. Whereas if you kind of just go with it as, well, I'm just going to see what comes out, then you can't really be too disappointed. It's the expectation that I think kills anyone, is that it used to be like this and I want it to be like this. Oh no, it's not like that anymore. And I think if you just let things go and just, I literally have no idea what it's going to be and just see it, then it's like, okay, and then you just make a bid on whether you want it or not.
It's just one of them unfortunate things that the way that the gaming industry seems to be going with pre-orders and stuff like that, a lot of the time you're giving your money away for something that you haven't even seen properly. Like you've seen some rumours, you've seen some leaked pictures, and you've got a vague, brief description of something, and you think, right, do I want to be buying that? And you've got to make that decision because you run the risk of something going out of stock or not being available or something. By the time it actually gets to the store where you can walk in and actually look at it and think, well, actually that's not bad value for money, or that's quite good quality, you know?
Yeah.
It's a tricky time, I think.
There's nothing that I've seen from that Forge World weekend that makes me sad.
No,
everything from it has made me excited. So,
but even with this release of pets for Necromunda, you don't even have to buy those pets. You can buy third-party pets, and so you could change it around. And going with this question, we also have Gene Stealer Cults as well, so that's another bit of flavour. And I wouldn't be surprised if they add Chaos Cults as well.
Cultists is coming. Yeah, there's 3 Cultists, Gene Stealer Cults, and my brain's gone blank on the third. But they're going to be releasing 3 different armies in White Dwarf.
Wow.
And I think essentially it's going to be that the 3 that they release in White Dwarf are sets that already exist. So it's like, well, you've always wanted these guys in your thing. Well, they're already here. A bit more like what's the other game that was out just before this? My brain's gone blank.
Shadow War?
Shadow War, yeah. So where the models already exist. And so like Gene Stealer Cult, you just need the box and off you go sort of thing. And the same with the Cultists. And so, for the life of me, I can't remember what the third one is. Again, this will be something else I'll check in the break and I'll come back to you. So there was, what's the
not
third
like an
one?
Imperial Guard Arbites or anything like.
No, I will find out. It's bugging me, but I will find out. And what was the other thing we've got to check?
I can't remember. We'll have to wait till the podcast comes out, then we can listen to it and find out what the thing is that we didn't know.
Or someone could just answer on
Facebook. The name of the
Facebook.
human warband in
Yes, human warband and the third army that's coming out for Necromunda. Okay, so we're going to go to our break so we can find that out. And then it is actually time to wear your bandana because it's time for the Orlocks.
Sorry about that.
I didn't record that bit. It's fine. Welcome back to section 4, which is the showcase. Before the break, we had the tester of 2 questions. The humans in Gorka Morka were called the Diggers.
Yay.
And there is no third faction.
There is no
Games Workshop's White Dwarfs. It is just Gene Stealer Cults and the Cultists, which is why I couldn't think of the third one.
We could have run that as a competition, couldn't we? Just for fun.
Yeah, but I think the answer would be very weird. Because even if they said I don't know, they kind of got it right. So thankfully, Michael gets to do the actual GW lore bit. So he's going to have the first bit of reading before we set into the bandana wearers themselves.
I'll be sitting comfortably, then I shall begin. So, House Orlock is known throughout Necromunda as the House of Iron, an industrial superpower fueled by countless ore mines and a stranglehold monopoly on the convoys serving the ferrous slag heaps that lie out in the ash wastes. To the other houses of Necromunda, Orlock seems as unified as a clenched fist. Its gangers well organised, equipped and utterly united in purpose. The men and women, which is interesting because so far we've only seen male models. The men and women of Orlock gangs walk proud and tall through the smoke-clogged hallways of the House of Iron. To be an Orlock ganger is to have risen above the brutal drudgery of serfdom and claimed a life of violence and personal freedom in its stead. Life in an Orlock gang, turns page, is tough. For their warriors have none of the stem-grown muscle of the Goliath gangers or the poisons of the Escher. Instead, they rely on sturdy weapons stamped and pressed in the Orlock foundries and the fighting spirit born from the houses us against them philosophy.
Awesome. So, well done, Michael.
Yeah, nice.
The top 3 features then of the Orlocks. What I've put is that they're hard. So, basically just like a biker gang, I've always had them in my head. Just a big, hard group of people, like you're saying, that have risen above and they're there to fight, and they're just tough and proud.
Yeah.
They don't take no rubbish from anybody.
I think what comes across for me out of reading the couple of pages in Gang War 2 is they're very emphasising their sturdy and rugged weaponry. So that's kind of giving you a bit of a feel for how you should be arming them when you're making your gangs.
The gang list definitely aims you that direction as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So,
shotguns and bullets.
The code of honour and stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty proud bunch of guys.
And I know that their call rating is very similar to the Goliaths, whereas the law of the Escher was they know when to leave. The Orlocks are like, no, we're toughing this out. Whereas the Goliaths was more like, oh yeah, his arm's just been blown off, carry on sort of thing. Whereas these guys know what's happening, but they're sticking it out anyway. So they don't disappear as quickly, so they've still got quite a high call rating. There's not much difference in the models between these ones. I mean, obviously the size is slightly different, but same style. They're just, this is what we were talking about just before we came back, which is the style of the gang is very much just a gang. I mean,
it's just a generic human gang, isn't it?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Hard guy, and they've even, so you could have any sort of, because even the guns, shotguns, auto pistols, it's very easy to have had at some point models that you've always wanted to make.
Very
into
generic.
A gang. And they can, like you've read, they can be female. So any models that are 28mm where you've got just some people holding machine guns and shotguns, you've got your army already there.
That's not to detract from the fact that the new models do look very nice.
They do.
They're really nice kits, but personally, I'm not interested in getting them. But I may certainly well do a count as gang, because I would like to at least use the rules for the different gangs as Necromunda expands.
I mean, I want to buy it so that I can use those models for other things, because where they've got the sort of everyday clothes as well, so they can be so many different other characters from Necromunda. So they can be your bounty hunters, they can be your hive scum, they can be so many different things with just a head swap and bits and pieces.
Yeah, or even using the models in a different system.
Yeah,
in a different game system, because they are looking pretty generic human.
I know when I've listened to other podcasts that people want to buy sets for their militia, for Imperial Guard and bits and pieces, because they make good planetary like gangs and such like. Yeah,
it's whether you get the posability, like if you want to be having 100 of them on the field, is a bit different, because you're saying like Imperial Guard models, you've got so many options within that kit, being able to repose and and stuff.
I think like I'm going to do with all my models, like with the Gene Stealer Cult kits and all of the Mechanicus kits and bits and pieces, I'm just going to bang a load of stuff together. So not all the gang, some have like, and you see it on a lot of the Necromunda groups where they've taken the body bit, the upper body bit of the Gene Stealer Cult, but they've put it on the Orlocks legs and bits and pieces. Yeah. So there's tons of opportunity to bit bash and kit bash and stuff. I mean, in the game style, like they've put, it's about they're not really wanting to attack you in close combat. So it says that they want to get close, but when they're close, they're going to shotgun you rather than try and hurt you. Which, I mean, when we get to our rosters, you'll be able to see in that is that there was a very limited amount of close combat weapons. So you have got shotguns, you've got auto guns, you've got the heavy stubber and the harpoon gun and bits and pieces, and the only real hand-to-hand weapons are you have your pistol or your knife.
I do think the game wants to get in close. Even though you said it's like not meant to be a close, or not perhaps designed to be a close combat gang. Looking at some of the gang tactics cards, the little buffs and stuff you can get from those randomly, a lot of them are emphasising that you want to be in the thick of it. You want to be in the middle of a large number of models, because either when you go down or one of your guys goes down, you can do something in response to that. Yeah,
and I think the idea is that you get up close, so you're in close range with your shotgun. So you've got, like, say, +2 to hit, and you just whammo the guy in the face with a full-on solid shotgun shell to the face. And I think they do want you to get close, but also kind of be hugging behind, just layering lead into people, essentially.
Well, they say about them being masters of ambush as well, so I wonder how that's going to translate. There's nothing I've seen so far that kind of gives an impression of that in the rules. You know, like there's nothing on their stat lines or perhaps on their equipment set. There's not anything that stands out too much from their gang cards that makes you think, oh yeah, that's ambush warfare.
Yeah, but I think the thing is that if you were playing like the ambush scenario where you're automatically within 8 inches of somebody, so once you've moved, you're in close range of getting that shotgun in your face.
Yeah.
I think it's like the sort of boo pop out and just raining bullets on people, so they're not going to be hiding in the corner to shoot. They want to get really close just to make sure their bullets hit their mark. I mean, with that FAQ now where your rapid fire counts in close combat as well with the auto pistol, is going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's just, so you can.
I saw the FAQ, but I didn't pick up on the rapid firing.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, so the rapid firing pistols are going to be pretty sweet in close combat.
The other thing for the game style and even the way that you create your gang is that it's interesting that from the legacy rules that came out, they've all of a sudden lost all their special weapons. So, or access to special weapons, at least at the game creation stage. So you've got no plasma, you've got no flamers, or the other cool toys. But they do, in exchange for that, they do give you the harpoon gun, and then what's the close combat one? The
servo claw.
Servo claw, that's it. So you get a little something, but they're taking some away.
But I think it's the same situation as the Escher's had, where
it's not on the sprue.
Yeah, it's not on the sprue, so it's not in the thing. Yeah. And then that's why I'm really excited. That's the thing. If anyone was saying, what do I want most? It's I want the weapons first. I want the weapons so that I can start building everything how I want it to be. And I think that, again, we're going to have that with all of them. I think with the Deluxe, with the Van Sars and all of those, is that you want those, you want the guns that they had. And I think the Van Sars will probably get the plasma and the laser weapons because that's part of their fluff. So you'll probably get the weapons that you like so much with the Van Sar and with the Cordor as well. You'll probably get flamers as standard, essentially. And I know what you'll be doing with all yours.
Even the templates, all the templates.
But the Deluxe will be interesting because they will probably get silenced weapons and bits and pieces, but they will probably be one of the other ones that fall into the situation of the sprue will have newish weapons and not all the ones that you'd have had in legacy games, and you'll probably get caught out again. But again, once the sprues get released, you'll be happy and you can get going. But yeah, it falls into that thing of, well, it's not on the sprue, so you're not having it at the moment, which makes the close combat thing a bit of a shame, because you've either got
servo claw is kind of like a generic thing, so you can go to like Puppets War, or not Puppets War, Cromlech or somewhere like that, and grab some sort of servo claw.
Even looking for an Imperial Guard Power Fist. That would work, because it's a human scale model, and you know that's going to fit, and they should be pretty abundant.
But I think it's with the points cost, because the servo claws are pretty hefty in points, so you wouldn't be putting them all on all your gangers and all.
Two.
So then it is that your option is a knife, or being unarmed, or just having 2 pistols. But then you can only have, well, at the moment we're still trying to work out whether, if you have 2 pistols in hand to hand, you just have 2 attack. That we're not into rules, so it's fine. We won't go into that now. So yeah, the unique weapons that you've got. So you've got the servo claw, which is strength 2 and 2 damage, which is pretty hefty. And the harpoon gun, which is strength 5, AP -3, and then it has drag, impale, and scare.
I think just for fun, I think that's got the weapon to include. I can't remember, is it 130 points, something like that? So it's not particularly cheap.
130 points of awesome.
Yeah, but just for the giggle factor of being able to pull off that one-off shot.
Because drag seems pretty cool. Impale, I don't know if I'm going to get that very often, because model's got to be behind that other model.
It's got to be 1 inch.
And it's got to have gone through hit the first person, gone through the first person.
Yeah, so as soon as they fail their armour save, it goes through to the next person.
And then, but I didn't
and then loses 1 strength, so it becomes a strength 4.
But I didn't check scare.
Oh no, that's scarce.
Oh, is it scarce?
Yeah.
And then I've written it wrong. Sorry, that's my eyes. Either I've made a mistake, or the bit where I read that said scarce actually said scare, and I've just seen a typo.
I'm going to say scarce.
No, I think it's scarce as well now you've said it. But if you look at the weapon section, just double check. Aaron's just checking now to see if it actually does say scarce or scare. And either I've made a mistake or Games Workshop's made a mistake. And I've got a feeling it's more likely to be me.
While he's looking for that, let's talk about one of the game tactics cards, which I think is actually quite cool. It's called Solidarity, and it essentially means that as long as there's a model within 6 inches of another one of your gangs, so one of your gang members is within 6 inches of another one of your gangs, they automatically pass cool checks.
Okay.
So the interesting thing with that is it then means it opens it up for you shooting at targets that are further away, reliably. So you think, well, how's that? If you've got some longer range weaponry, or you want to try and snipe out one of the enemy characters that are lurking around the back, then you can do that automatically. And I think that's
and
pretty
some
cool.
of your actions, there's quite a few things that are affected by cool as well. So that would definitely is the one where you can't get knocked down, that where you don't get pinned.
Yeah, hard as nails. I can't remember what it's called. But
is that the one that you have to pass a cool check and then you don't get pinned, or is it a different check? I think that's a cool check.
Yeah, it is.
So if you can do that, and you've got someone who needs to get to the other side, and can automatically not get pinned, that's pretty sweet. You can shoot me, and if you don't kill me, I'm still coming over, and because that would be good for shame it's because it's for my Goliath.
Yeah, so it's only a skill, isn't it? So if you can get that skill onto one of your Orlock gangers, keep them within 6 inches, and I didn't think of it that way. That's pretty cool, actually.
Because I've written down some of, obviously, the skill trees. So the main ones, the primaries, apart from obviously the leader having leader, is ferocity and savant. So there's berserker, which is again the +1 attack on the charge. Impetuous, where you can consolidate 4 rather than 2. Fearsome, where the enemy has to pass a willpower test before they can charge.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that sounds pretty sweet. Then there's the Nerves of Steel one, which is the one I was talking about, which is where you have to pass a cool check and then you're not pinned if you're shot. True Grit, Each is one less injury dice. So things like D2 weapons, you just get one less. So you only, and then I didn't really understand Unstoppable. So I mean, if any of you guys can read it and get any head around it, but I don't understand Unstoppable. So I'll let you guys.
While we're looking for that, it is scarce.
Yeah. Okay. So then that was me being an idiot.
So it's like a 5+ ammo check.
So while the guys are trying to work out what Unstoppable means, because I can't really get my head around it, I'll go into the Savant primaries, which is something we haven't had on any of the other on the other members.
Unstoppable.
Yeah.
Before making a recovery check for the fighter in the end phase, roll a d6. On a result of 4 or more, one flesh wound they have suffered is discarded. If they do not have any flesh wounds and the result is 4 or more, roll 1 additional dice for their recovery check.
So it was just a bit wordy for my brain to handle.
But the first part of that's essentially taking away one of your -1 toughness.
So say someone gave you 2 lots of damage, one was a flesh wound, you can essentially take one of them away.
Yeah. You've got a 50-50 chance of losing or your toughness going back up, which is very helpful when you're only toughness 3.
Right.
Because it's not going to take you too many flesh wounds and then you're out of action.
But is it only when you've actually taken that hit on that turn, you can't then keep rolling after that to see if your flesh wounds come away? It looks like that's only on that.
You only make a recovery check if you're down, if you're seriously injured.
Right, so once you're up, you're up.
Yeah, once you're up, you're up. So,
right.
Yeah, so you need to be on the deck, seriously injured, and then see whether you recover. So you're essentially gonna, if you do recover,
you're getting off the floor to
stand up.
Right.
Yeah. So you will essentially pick up a new flesh wound.
Right.
And then you'll be ready to stand up next turn. So you kind of got a 50-50 chance of ignoring that new flesh wound.
Right. Okay.
The second bit, I'm not so sure on that.
Yeah. So I mean, if you guys have got a better understanding of it and you can type it up on Facebook where it makes sense, please do so on the group, because I can't get my head around that currently. The Savant skill tree is interesting because none of the other 2 gangs have that. So this is the first gang that we've got that's got it. And it's unusual because a lot of the skills are helpful at the end phase of the game.
Almost all of them, I think.
Yeah. I think there's one where it affects it while you're playing, but they're unique. I mean, ballistic experts on aiming. If you pass the intelligence test, you get another +1 to the hit roll. Yep. Quite cool, but I found with the Orlocks, I'd want it on something that was pretty hard hitting. Unless you've got a combat shotgun, it doesn't work on heavy stubbers and things because they're unwieldy. So if you don't have bulging biceps, which you can't because it's not their skill, you can't aim because it's if it's unwieldy, it's a double action thing, so you can't aim anyway. So the only thing that would really work on is a normal basic weapon, and the only one really powerful enough to make that worthwhile in the Orlocks is the shotgun, combat shotgun, from what I can see. I'm not sure I'd want to use it on just an auto gun or anything like that. Connected is at the end of the game 1, so you're able to make 2 trade actions instead of 1. Fixer, so the model gains an additional D3 plus times 10 credits if they're not captured or in recovery, so that's helpful for the bit of money. Yeah. Medicae, when assisting someone in recovery test, re-roll out of action, so that's kind of helpful. If you're nearby, it means that if you are unlucky to roll a skull, you won't actually lose your dude. Well, you could still roll it again, but
you get an extra chance, doesn't it?
Yeah. Mutineer, anyone...
Munitioner, isn't it?
Munitioner, thank you. This is why you do the reading. Anyone within 6 inches can re-roll failed ammo rolls. Helpful.
That's really good.
Yeah, especially if you're near a heavy.
Yeah, harpoon.
And also, it's going to be helpful because a lot of these guys will have a lot of... I mean, essentially you can fail ammo rolls with all of them, but the idea of these guys is you want the guns working and you want them firing lots of bullets.
They should be sturdy and reliable weapons.
Yeah.
And then the last one's the other end of the thingy one, which is the Savvy Trader. In the trade action, you get +1 and reduce the item cost by 20 to a minimum of 10. So yeah, that one's pretty cool too. But that's it for the skill trees. I haven't played a game where I've had an action that's happened after the game, so I think I'd have to play them first and see what it's like to not have a skill until after the game and see how helpful those things are, because until I've gone to the trading post and seen how helpful a +1 result is, I wouldn't know then if it's worth it or not.
It's a weird concept, isn't it, to see all your other friends with their gangs getting buffs in the game, helping their gangs perhaps do more damage or to get to places and stuff and achieve the mission. Whereas your gang's kind of held back a little bit because it hasn't got all those little tricks.
But then you're kind of rubbing your hands going, just you wait.
And then if you survive, then it's interesting.
So I mean, again, you guys, if you're playing a game and you've tried the Orlocks and you find that one of those skills are pretty cool, again, just write it up on the group so we've got an idea, because my
we
next
haven't got
couple,
a clue.
Well, the thing is, I'm not going to be playing Orlocks anytime soon. So both the gangs that I have are both gangs that don't have Savant as their main skill tree, so I won't be getting access to these unless I roll a lucky dice on the advancements. So if any of you have got any experience, or is D3 times 10 credits actually helpful? Is getting the +1 result? I don't know, because I haven't had, and -20 on creds, I think that's quite helpful, but again, it might not be if once people have had a go. So just let us know if you've had that experience. So that's it for the Orlocks in regards to their lore and everything. Now it's going to be the rosters from me and Michael, so how we've built our gangs if we were to build ours ourselves. So we've finished segment 4 and we're now going on to segment 5. Welcome back to segment 5, which is the roster segment. Sorry, I'm too busy in my head where we've been talking about how rubbish Arsenal is and how Aaron agrees with it. So I didn't say I'm missing the Tottenham game, but it doesn't seem to be too much of an issue because they seem to be losing. So
just for the Americans, this is football with the round ball.
Football, yeah.
Yeah, the one that you use your feet.
That's it.
Or your hands, depending on what team you play for.
Or goalkeeper. We'll do a football podcast. Oh no, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of football podcasts.
I won't be there for that one.
Okay, so roster. Do you want to go first, Michael?
Yeah, I'll go first. So I wanted to take advantage of the Savant skills because, as Tom said, none of the other gangs so far have had that as their primary, or one of their two primary skill trees. So I've gone for a leader who's got heavy stubber because I wanted to have a heavy weapon in there, and he's got a better ballistic skill out of everyone, so we should be able to take advantage of that.
Didn't even think to give a leader the heavy stubber.
Yeah, so I don't want him getting involved, although he's decent in combat because I think his weapon skill is the same as his ballistic skill. He's the best shooter in the squad or in the gang, so I gave him a heavy stubber. I did originally give him ballistic expert, but with the very brief reread from a few minutes ago, the need to aim a heavy weapon, it's not going to happen until you've got that bulging bicep skill. So I switched it out for munitioner, just to try and help him not jam his weapon or run out of ammunition, so he can keep on firing his weapon. I also gave him an auto pistol and a knife. So he's got those two close combat weapons with his weapon skill in case he does have to get involved. Then I've gone for a pair of champions, and they're both not the same, but both got shotguns, and they've both got ballistics expert.
The combat shotgun?
No, just regular shotguns.
Cool.
It's more a case for points. So they've both got ballistics expert to make them a little bit better at shooting. And one of them's got an auto pistol and knife, so that's your double close combat weapon, just to try and make them a little bit more tasty. And the other guy drops one of his close combat weapons in favour of having the servo claw, just because I think it would be a cool thing to include. And then there's 4 gangers. One of them's got a sawn-off shotgun, knife and some blasting charges. Just because blasting charges is something new, so why not try and throw that in there?
Do you have the profile for that? I didn't even check blasting charges.
Here we go, strength times 2.
Oh, that's for throwing.
Yes,
Blasting,
that's a range.
there we go. Damage 2, -1.
Yeah, I think it was a massive blast, wasn't it? 5-inch blast.
5-inch blast.
And you think, well, how much fun's that going to be?
and knockback, so you can essentially knock people off like platforms.
Hey.
And wow.
I do like my templates. So blasting charges for that. The next ganger, another sawn-off, sawn-off gun. Can't even read my own writing.
Sawn-off gun.
So another sawn-off shotgun, knife and a stub gun. So once again, 2 close combat weapons. The next ganger, exactly the same. So sawn-off shotgun, knife and a stub gun. And then the final one, I've gone for another servo claw on the ganger this time. So he's got a sawn-off shotgun, servo claw and a stub gun.
So very close range shooting, isn't it? Once you're close, you've got a really high ballistic skill, but...
And then just to get the numbers up, the gang is rounded off with a pair of Juves that have both got 2 auto pistols.
Cool.
Sorry, 1 Juve with 2 auto pistols.
Okay.
Never noticed the heavy stub is 40-inch long range.
Yeah.
So you might not even need bulging biceps because you're not going to really move him anymore.
It's for the aiming perspective, that's what you want. Because it then means it's a basic action.
So you can aim and then shoot.
Unwieldy. It takes away the unwieldy, which means it's a double action to fire the heavy weapon.
I can see the aiming wouldn't work, but I know what you mean about if you can get him far enough away. But if you've got a lot of terrain and you're kind of wanting to keep him out of sight slightly as well, every time that he has to, even if it's a tiny bit move to get a bead on someone, he's automatically moved, which means he can't fire.
Yeah.
So it's going to be difficult. I think if you can get a good firing lane, at least, even if he doesn't fire, if you can guarantee that you're not going to get any people coming up a certain direction,
it's area denial,
you can then spend the rest of the game with all your other guys knowing where they're going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go on to mine. So I've got a leader as normal, but I've given him, which is the only combat shotgun of my list. I still struggle giving, I don't know, I have a weird thing about the fact that I'll always give the heavy / champion a really expensive weapon and then not give any expensive weapons to any other on my gang. So he's got a stub gun, the servo claw, because I just like giving them the one-off weapon, and the combat shotgun, and he's the only one who's going to have it, and he's got inspirational leader. I think with all my leaders I'm going to try and give them leader ones because I just want to benefit the fact that no other person can have that. So that's for him. Then I've got the stub gun for a champ, and an auto gun and a fighting knife, and he's going to have savvy trader, so he's going to be very much like a normal ganger, but just with a slightly better weapon skill and ballistic skill, and then something to just help him out at the end of the game. Then my other champion has a heavy stubber and a stub gun. Again, I was thinking of giving him ballistic expert as well until I remembered that it was an unwieldy weapon, so he's got nerves of steel, so hopefully even if he does get hit, he can still be standing up, so he can keep firing. So if someone does have the balls to stand up and shoot him and does hit him, it won't, and then hoping to knock him down to not fire next turn, if I can pass a call check, which they have quite a good call rating, he can stay up and just get him back, get the person back who's dared to have a shot at him. My gangers are all very boring, so they're all exactly the same. So I've got 5 gangers, and they've all got auto gun and auto pistol, and I don't like giving them the combat blade. So until I can go to the trading post and give them all a very cheap knife, then I'm not going to bother. So until then, they're just going to have the auto gun and auto pistol. And then my Juves are exactly the same, unfortunately. They've all got auto gun, and but these guys have stub gun as their other basic weapon. But yeah, like I say, it's a pretty dull list, but at the same time, I don't feel like there's stacks of options with the weapons.
Did you guys find it quite hard coming up with a list?
I found it hard in the fact that there wasn't many hand-to-hand weapons.
Well, a lot of that went away from the PDF that came out originally. They kind of had lots and lots of options in the close combat department, and they've all kind of gone away. So yeah, I can see why that's a bit of an issue. The other thing of note from that legacy PDF is the leader's wounds is up to 3.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting. So I'm not sure the other ones. I think the others are 2, aren't they?
2, yeah.
The idea I saw from the game design, because I'd seen it somewhere else, but the idea was that the Goliaths obviously are big and strong, and that makes them tough, so they're less likely to get damaged by something.
Yep.
But an Orlock is tough in a different way, where they may get shot, but they're so hard that they'll carry on, so they'll get hit in a bar fight and it'll cause damage, but they'll still keep pumping at you. Whereas a Goliath, it wouldn't even damage their skin. It would damage an Orlock, but he wouldn't care and he would carry on fighting. So that was pretty cool. That's the first guy that's got 3 wounds, so you're really going to have to whack him or hit him with a really powerful weapon so you may wound him or her, but you're not going to.
Well, especially against little guys, if you send a little ganger or a Juve into him, and if they do manage to get that 1 wound, they've effectively done virtually nothing.
And they'll regret it when they get a servo arm around the head.
So yeah, it's quite interesting that having that extra wound.
Yeah, and
what's the armour like on these guys?
Mesh armour, so that's 5 up.
5 up.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just this sort of standard thing that the leaders and the guys have a bit of protection, the Jews have none.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because that's the whole idea of them. If you can survive, then you may become a champion.
Well, that keeps them fast as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I do wish that they would add something in the rules, because the extra movement for the Jews, it can't just be because they're young. It's got to be partly attributed that they're not encumbered with some heavy equipment.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind if when you get your armour upgrade or something, when you buy it, it says you lose 1 inch of movement. Or something.
Yeah.
You know, just to kind of represent that. Because otherwise, the Jews are suddenly going to have lots more movement. Potentially you can buy them armour at some point during your gang's career. But they're really super fast.
Yeah, I mean, it might be that the idea was that all gangers and champs and stuff have all had to fight before, and they've all got little niggly injuries, whereas a Juve is fresh,
full of enthusiasm, but invincible.
But then when they did become a champ or whatever in the future, then it would make sense that they would have taken some damage in the end. I mean, it might be a mechanic that they add in the future, but again, it falls under the syndrome of not on the sprue. So.
Not gammy legs, not on the sprue.
No, I mean that the writing the list, it becomes very generic. I mean our list. I mean you picked shotguns and close and sawn-off shotguns, and I picked auto guns, and that's really the only major difference.
And to be fair, part of the reason for doing that is that I know that I've got easy access to a load of shotguns.
Yeah.
From the sort of Imperial Guard and the War Games factory models that I've got, and also the G-Still Occult models. I've got shotguns for days.
Yeah.
So sawn off ones are easy. You just get your clippers out. It's sawn off, obviously.
Well, that's the roster. So next one is segment 6, which again, it will be Conversion Corner. So we'll be discussing some of the bits that we found that we think could be good for making your own army if you were going to make one without using the Orlocks gear. So we're finishing segment 5, ready for segment 6.
Follow my
conversion corner. This one can be anything essentially. Like we've already said, these guys are the every gang. So, it says essentially there can be anything. So, biker gang, steelworker gang, anything with a machine gun or a pistol or a shotgun. It can be anything really. I mean,
you can go with any aesthetic that you like. It doesn't have to be a traditional Necromunda aesthetic. You could go for absolutely anything, and mixing in male female models into the game is certainly from GW's fluff narrative they've created. Then that's go for it.
I've seen it on Necromunda Facebook groups already. People putting female heads on Orlock models. I was saying, people like Mad Robot, and I've said it in the past, done the Sons of Anarchy heads. So I've already seen that on the Facebook group where someone's put them on, so it's a proper biker gang now. But essentially it can be anything. Like I was saying about my Joker gang, where I was thinking about using the Victoria miniatures convict. They were again going to be Orlocks, so I was going to have the Joker model.
How you getting on with that? Are you still going?
Not until so Goliaths are getting done, then it's the terrain, and then it's because that's just because the Orlocks. This is more just going to be for just a fancy and hobby and conversion, seeing if I can sculpt with green stuff, because I've always used green stuff to fill gaps and bits and pieces. But this time I'm going to slightly change the design of the suit that the model has. I'm going to try and make a bow, like a neck scarf, like the Joker model that I'm basing off has. So I'm going to be pushing myself to try different things with the green stuff. So
you've got like sculpting tools.
Yeah, I've got some of that I've used, and then all I've done is really work them how to push the green stuff into certain gaps. So every so often, like where one of my Goliaths, I used a different arm, and I had to kind of cut away a lot to get the arm to work on the body. There was a lot of green stuff that needed there, so I've been trying to learn how to sculpt and some of the muscle and bits and pieces. And the main thing I've got to do is just be patient with it. It's very much a meticulous sort of especially with people that are sculpting, they got wire models, then they add a bit of, because what I want to kind of try and do is do the whole leg at once, so you've got to build it up in layers. It's the patience that's the biggest killer for me, and that's what I've got
layer by layer. You got your armature, and then you got your layers.
But again, typically it's going to be an Orlock gang, because it's like, well, what's going to be best? Well, they're going to have machine guns. Okay, I'll do them as Orlocks. They're all going to be criminals, so they're all going to be hard and bits and pieces. So, have there been anything that have jumped out at you guys that you've owned?
Sort of reverse engineering it almost, is that you could use the Orlock models for something else, not necessarily another system, but something like Scout Bikers. If you're going to go with a biker theme, if you can convert those models to be seated on a Space Marine bike or something like that, then you're looking at maybe Scout Bikers or even Imperial Guard Rough Riders, something like that. So you can create some rules or find a set of rules that would fit into. And certainly the top half of the torso would be useful for that. You've only got to get the legs either cut and shut or onto...
Yeah, because you can get Rough Rider legs and bits and pieces, can't you?
Yeah, so...
That'd be sweet.
And then you can have a proper biker gang.
Yeah.
Which is something I'd like for my G-Stead Occult army. So that may be something that I try and... I don't know what rules I'm going to use for them and how I can fit them in. Unless hopefully they include them in the codex.
I know in the old school days a lot of people used the Catachan models, the IG Catachan models as the Orlocks, because again they had the bandanas and their headscarves, and they had their muscles and their... well, not Goliath sized muscles, but muscles and the... little sleeveless shirts and bits and pieces. So again, just hard guys with headscarves and stuff. So I mean, again, I'm asking you guys on our group, anything you've found that's cool, anything that you've done already that you think is automatically going to be your Goliath models.
I think it's a good project for Salute. Just to see what's out there really.
Yeah, that's certainly one of the things that I'll be doing at Salute this year. I don't think I'm going to have a huge spending power. So I'm going to be going there with the intention of finding some really cool models.
Yeah.
I've got my ideas on some different game systems that I want to be involved in, sort of more post-apocalyptic games. This is not a test and things like that. So I'm looking out for cool models that I could include into a warband or into a game for Necromunda. So I'm certainly on the lookout for that.
Yeah, and I think I'll be going to the normal ones like Zinj and Anvil. And seeing getting their bits.
Have you heard of Artel Miniatures? They do really cool one-off pieces.
Yeah, aren't they the ones that have done the Enforcer models recently?
Yeah.
Oh, they're sweet.
They're really good.
Really cool.
Yeah, done some really good stuff. But yeah,
that's definitely one. Yeah, they've really made some nice models recently, and it looks like they're kind of going Hive themed for some of their stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's easy for other companies to try and jump on Games Workshop's bandwagon, and you can't knock them for that. If they can try and make some profit out of something that Games Workshop's released, or been a little bit slow to give to people, then more power to them. And it gives options.
Yeah, and it's like, and it'll be like the Mad Robot and all of those different companies, and Puppets War, and where I've got my clown heads and stuff. It's just like, well, now especially with the Orlock models where they're actually fit into a hole. It's not like this bit of neck attaches and it has to fit to that bit of neck. There is a lot more interchangeable, like the Gene Stealer cult models. So you can muck about with heads and bits and pieces. And I know that when like I say, when I've got my Orlock box, it's not going to really be used for, some of it will be used for some Orlock models, but not all of them. And it'll be head swaps and arm swaps, and that's the bit that I enjoy the most about the whole hobby. So that's what I'll be doing.
What about the special weapons that you've got? So you've got the claw and the harpoon.
Claw you've discussed already, so IG fists and any slightly smaller scale power
a Space Marine power fist is going to be too big. For a human.
Goliath it might fit, but even then it's going to be a fair old size. And
if it's meant to represent a claw rather than a fist as well, so it's whether you want, depending on how the fingers are posed, whether you want to be sharpening them up to claws or adding a piece to them.
I mean, I know for my pit slaves, where I've used them using the AOS models, I've then used the orc bits for claws and bits and pieces, so that can be quite effective, but that would be very sort of rustic for Orlocks. But anything on the slightly smaller scale of Power Fist. The harpoon gun I'm struggling with.
I don't think that would be too difficult. Because you could almost take any heavy weapon that's got a relatively large barrel, and something like a cocktail stick can effectively become your spear.
Yeah, I guess so.
So you've only got to snip off a little section of that and then drill the end of your barrel, slot that in, and that's your kind of harpoon. And then it's whether you have a coil of rope or something, some sort of coil.
Green stuff it.
I've seen a guy who's used the Reaver, you know, the new Space Marine Reavers that come with the harpoon guns.
Yep.
I know someone's used one of them, and they've used a very fine piece of metal to then come away and look like the actual harpoon is actually coming out of the guns. It's already shot off, and the cable's starting to follow it, so that looked really cool, and that's already opened up, and so that looks like a good old harpoon piece, because you're going to get a lot of people who aren't going to use that piece that's come away because it's going to snap so easily. But if you're only moving 10 guys around, you can be a lot more careful, whereas if you're bringing your whole Space Marine army, you are likely to snap that tiny piece off. But for the actual weapon itself there, like you say, just if you can find any sort of old school big old weapon that then you can get a spindle under. But I think you'll probably find a lot of people selling the harpoon gun on bit sites where they've not used it themselves, so you're probably
you're going to be limited if you're looking at the same makeup as the Eschers and the Goliaths, where essentially you need 2 boxes worth of models to be able to make up a game to get all the options you kind of want. Then are you realistically going to include 2 harpoon guns in your game?
Yeah, because you're going to because you get double sprue, don't you? So you will have 2 harpoon guns, even though you're not likely to use 2 harpoons.
Yeah, you do get double,
Yeah, so you'll probably find a couple kicking around, or someone who's not needing it, of your friends.
Yeah, so you can use that weapon even if you're not using the Orlock models and you're using third-party models from something else. You could still get the official weapon.
Yeah. So you probably have a lot of options for that. But yeah, Facebook group, guys, if you've got any of your own ideas for Orlocks or any models that you've already got, please put them up. It'll be really cool to see what you guys have done as well, because we're only 3 guys and we can only see so many websites, or know however many websites exist. So if you know others, please feel free to share them. Next is segment 7, which is games played. So that's it for section 6. Section 7 will be coming up, and we actually have a question from someone called Carl Walker, so we'll be back in a minute. Welcome to segment 7, games played. Unfortunately, due to house moves and everything else that's been getting in the way, none of us have had a game this month.
Yeah, I haven't played any Necromunda for a few weeks now. The campaign that I'm involved in has kind of faltered because I've had to do a load of extra hours with work, and that's just really clashed with the evening during the week where I can catch up with my buddy. So I just haven't played Necromunda. So for me, the only games I've played is Age of Sigmar, and that's been on the weekend.
And I know that me and Anduran have been accosted by our partners to help find properties.
Yeah.
But we have got a listener question, like I said in the last segment, from Carl Walker, which is: do you know of pages on where to find Necromunda players in your area? So I know that I've just got back into using Yak Tribe, the forum. Really cool bunch of people. I lost contact with the group because things like Facebook and Instagram are so easy, and they have the app and you can click in and bang, it's there. Also, because it's a forum, I can't get it at work, and I don't spend much time on my computer at home. So where I have to, either I'm hobbying or I'm having to spend the time with my wife in the evening. So it's
you
about.
Make it sound like a chore.
It can be when we're talking about houses all the time.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So what then? They don't let you browse at work? What is it?
Let me is a strong word. I can. Facebook is accessible from our computer, and so is Instagram. But forums hit the council's wall of this is a forum, you can't go on the page.
Wow.
So I then have to use it on my phone, or so it becomes a bit more difficult. But like I say, with Yak Tribe, I only just got back into using Yak Tribe just as they were hosting their yearly meetup sort of thing.
Yeah.
But they are planning to do one in September too. It was a weekend thing which seemed quite cool. But again, it's one of those places where you can say, I'm in this area, is there anyone else in this area?
Yeah.
Because it is just for people who are playing Necromunda, whereas you can't really just write that on Facebook and hope for the best. I know that also there are gaming circles, so like where I'm going up to Bedford, there's the Weird Boys group, which I'm already part of, and a couple of those guys are asking, is anyone fancy playing a game of Necromunda and bits and pieces?
Well, so really, you just need to try and find local gaming clubs or gaming groups, whether that's depending on your geography of whereabouts you are. That might just be a local generic gaming store where they've got gaming tables that people just drop in, drop out of playing any particular system. I think you just need to do a little bit of legwork and actually go and see and chat with some people, and even if there's some sort of way of writing a note or a little poster or something to put up in the store and say, Necromunda player looking for opponents. And
are you Necro curious?
Yeah. It could be something like that. I think that's all you've got to do really, because people can only play one game at a time. So if they go to their local gaming store and they happen to be playing 40k, that doesn't mean that they don't play Necromunda.
Yeah.
It's just that at that moment they're not playing it.
Yeah.
So do you know where Carl Walker is from?
No, I don't know where Carl Walker's from. I should have actually asked, but I think the actual difficulty is kind of universal, and the only real ways you can do it is go on the forum, find your local gaming store, try and convert someone who is slightly nerdy to trying out a game, because you'd be like I was saying to Michael before we recorded, a group of friends who I do drink with, they've only just started getting into D&D, and it wasn't that just a group of them just decided to give it a go, and it won't take much to push from D&D into a slightly different gaming system. And also someone at work was just saying that he has a D&D group and bits and pieces, so you'd be surprised, even though we keep it secretive a lot of the time, you'd be surprised how many people have played Games Workshop before or played some sort of board game system that now they've become adults has drifted away to part of their past. But it doesn't take much of a push to give them a little tester game and see how it goes. Just make sure you have 2 games ready, because they're not going to have anything painted. Just have them ready to go.
Well, some of the things that I've seen with Malifaux, people trying to build up their local scene or whatever they're doing, trying to promote the game. They're doing it from what I see as more a way of promoting and developing the game rather than developing friends or whatever. But if you're looking for games, if you do have an opponent or a buddy you can play with, and you've got a local store that will allow you to play regularly, just go there and play, have the game visible, so that any other customer that happens to walk in might look at your table and see 2 people having a good time, and they'll be curious enough to ask, well, what's that then? What's that all about? Or they may well remember or recognise, that looks like Necromunda, I used to play that donkeys years ago, and they'll strike up that conversation, and they might go, oh, this is a place to come.
Especially if you get some of your fancy terrain down. If you've got some 3D stuff,
if it looks good, people will be interested.
Definitely. And then the last thing, which is the most extreme one, which was like starting this podcast. So I always wanted to be on a podcast. I'll start a podcast, which I know that...
it's not always the best idea, though, is it?
But, there's the Necromunda Island group where I think Mark's started an entire Facebook group dedicated to try and wrangling up games in Ireland. I
think that's a brilliant idea.
You just grab the bull by the horns, start your group up, say I'm in this area, and just ask permission from different pages as to whether you're able to post it up. If you've started a Necromunda group which is all about trying to find people in your area, just email us and it'll be fine.
Or you just put a post up on the Facebook group.
You're not advertising anything for money, you're just asking, are there people in your area that are interested?
I mean, that's how I got to know everyone on the Overlords. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Even with Facebook, it's so easy to start a Facebook group that you could start up a Facebook group for Necromunda players in whatever area it is you live. And then hopefully you can get to share that group with some of the established Necromunda Facebook groups, and then you might pick up a few people that are in that area and they'll join into your page, and then you've instantly got a little circle you can then hope to build on.
And I mean, like I was just saying about Mark Knight, he's literally just posted something as we're talking about him, but yeah, it can be as much as, if, like, I'm just putting a place out of your head, if you're Bristol and you've just started a Bristol Necromunda group and someone's already got a Bristol Necromunda group that you weren't aware of and they just called it something random, all it takes is for one of the 2 of you to say, oh, I've got this group, and you just join the 2 together. You can just link the 2 groups on Facebook, and you're laughing. It's
the only danger with that is that you then start getting spam posts where people are in 5 or 6 different groups, and then they'll post something they've done, either whether it's a game, whether it's something they've painted and purchased.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it will get posted into 5 or 6 different groups simultaneously. And if you also happen to be members of them groups, then you get it come up in the feed. And I personally find that so tedious.
And I think the thing is that each of those groups, like with ours is very much hobby related. So if anyone has any rules question, they're not going to be writing it in ours. And then hopefully with the groups that you're starting that are dedicated to finding people in your area and just playing the games, then hopefully that group is just going to have that sort of stuff. Like, so I know what you mean, because there are sometimes where you'll just get your newsfeed and you're like, oh wow, 7 things have happened at once, but it's one thing 7 times. But I mean, I think that's why if we can get the groups to be more specific on what it is they're talking about, then like the Necromunda painting group and the Necromunda terrain group are both by the same person, but if you painted your terrain, it goes in that one. If you painted your models, it goes in the other. And I think it's about, and I mean, you can always ignore people after the thing and ignore it. But yeah, I know what you mean. But if it is a group where you're just saying, look, are there people in this area, the campaign's here, then hopefully all the stuff that's going into that Facebook group is just about, I'm in the area and I want to play, or this was the game that we've had, and it's not been put on. But that's always been the flaw. If once you're interested in something, someone's so excited that they want to show everyone. So in theory, it might not be the same people in all the different groups.
No. I've done that a few times.
And what I try and do is I'll try and stagger it, or I'll write something different.
At least to write something. Physically a different phrase or a different comment to go with them pictures. It might be the same pictures, but you've written something different.
Yeah, and I think when I'm doing the Goliath, so any updates I'll put in my frayed paintbrush group. Apart from the Goliaths at the moment, because I was just about to do the podcast, I thought I'll post a picture of what I'm at this stage, so it makes sense to people when they listen. But on the whole, I'll do all my completed stuff in the Necromunda group, but all my updates I'll do in my frayed paintbrush hobby progress group, because it's my progress and that's what that group's for. So I'll kind of consciously try and work out what is it that I'm doing and what does it need to be in, rather than mega exploding onto many.
I suppose the other thing to consider as well is that it's almost like an anti-social media perspective or way of looking at things, is that most social media groups are obsessed with getting more and more people to like or to join. So you're constantly looking at the numbers and thinking, we're getting bigger and bigger, and you can compare that with your other groups and say, I've got more than you. But when you're doing a very localised group, you've got to get in your head that the number of members in that group is going to be small.
Yeah.
You might only have 7 or 8 members in your Facebook group, but that could be a very successful Facebook group for what you want out of it.
Yeah.
If many people are actively looking for games and they are geographically close and you do get together, then that's
it's
perfect.
done.
And 8 is enough.
Yeah.
You don't need to have 5,000 members in your group, because if you did, you find that 4,992 of them aren't ever going to play you a game of Necromunda. They live in another country or something.
It's definitely quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
And even with our group, we're really happy that it went over the 500, but I know we've got to get to 1,000 and then and then 7,000. It's not. It doesn't need to be big now. It just needs to be everyone with the same idea in the same place, because we've all been on groups where they're colossal numbers, and the more people you have, the less because I've noticed now where we're getting people on our group that I've just found it because of suggestion on, and unless if they don't read the pinned post to say what the idea of the group is and that it's for this and that, then you'll start getting different bits that aren't actually things that you kind of want on the group. So the more people you open it to, the more it gets diluted. So definitely don't try and push for numbers in your group. If you're getting what you want from the group with the low numbers, then you're doing fine.
That's right. You shouldn't be discouraged from the fact that you have only got 4 or 5 or whatever members. It's all about getting those games and hooking up with those different people.
And hopefully the person that you you get on with, hook up with, isn't someone you can't stand.
Well,
there's only one other Necromunda player in my area and I can't stand the person. Okay, so hopefully, Carl, we've answered your question a little bit. But like I say, if you ever do want to bite the bullet and start your own Facebook group about finding people in an area, please feel free to add it to our group. It's all just about getting ideas and people playing. So if you do start your own little group and it's about finding people in an area, feel free to add it to ours. It's not a problem. And anyone else.
The ultimate thing as well is, if you are going to heavily invest your personal time and effort into it, is you can start a gaming club. Don't underestimate.
That's really jumping in.
It is, but if you're really passionate about playing a particular game, or a number of different systems, and there isn't anything in your area that fits the bill, then give it a try. Okay, you're going to have to put the feelers out in the same way that you're doing just for finding random games. But if there is an interest and enough people in your area, or even if there is other clubs, if they don't happen to play the system you want, maybe another night of the week or a different weekend day to what these other established clubs are doing, if you can arrange something on that other day.
Yeah, because my friend, it's actually weird actually, he's his dad owns it's like a hall, but like a slightly bigger sort of banqueting area, but it doesn't get used apart from Friday night, Saturdays and like all the normal times. It doesn't get used, and he was asking me about how he can open something. And there will be, like, even if your gaming club only does certain days and it's none of the stuff you want, why don't you speak to the person who owns the place and see, can you start a Thursday night and do blah blah blah, because it's only Tuesdays and Fridays which your group runs, so you've now decided to try and take on another step. Just jump in and bite the bullet. And
I don't think you should feel like you're stepping on someone's toes just because you want to start something up as well, because at the end of the day you're potentially offering something different to what the other club or clubs might be doing anyway. So I don't think you should kind of feel bad about that.
Especially if they're not playing the game system that you want to play anyway, because you're not stepping on anyone's feet. Because
in theory,
well,
it's also about finding like-minded people. You've got to be honest. There's some interesting people in this hobby.
Yeah, you can still be playing the same game system, but not playing it in the same way.
Yeah.
Do you want to find like-minded people? There's lots of apps for these.
It's like our own dating agency.
But obviously I've only spoke about Yak Tribe because that's the only forum that I've really used in regards to Necromunda, but you guys will know others as well. So again, please contribute onto the group and let us know of others, especially if they're ones that you've got vested interest in because you're already a forum manager of it. So please just let us know so we can see what other ones there are. That's the end of segment 7. I'm going to go for a wee and we'll be back for the end, which is the thank yous of section 8. So we'll speak to you soon. We're in section 8, so it's the thank yous. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, we're not going to be able to talk about Gaslands today. But we will make a more dedicated episode to it. So instead of just briefly talking about it now, we're going to have a full-on go at it.
Yeah, I think it deserves to have some airtime because it's proving to be really popular out in the wider world. The Facebook group is just going nuts with people making all their different projects and stuff and the games they're playing. The rule book's sold out and being reprinted, people are having trouble getting the books and stuff, so it's getting a lot of traction, to use an automotive
Nice.
See what I did there?
So if you guys want to have a look at what we're talking about before we talk about it, just put Gaslands on Facebook, it'll take you to the group. You can have a little look-see and see what we're talking about. And
I'll also post, I've made 5 cars so far, so I'll do a group shot of those. I think Tom took a couple today.
Yeah, it wasn't a great shot.
No, okay.
So I'll take some
photos of the cars and I'll stick them on our group.
Awesome.
Just randomly.
Yeah.
And you go, this is a Necromunda page, what the hell are you putting cars on there for?
So to the actual thank you. So thank you to Frank for the music, which you'll hopefully hear in between.
Yep.
And Erin will do that very kindly with the editing. There's again talking about the Necromunda Terrain Makers group and the Necromunda Painting group. Thank you to Mike Thomas for the 3D printed terrain. The eBay group is called Six Town Scenery, but like I say, direct message him too, and hopefully he can send you to the link that takes you directly to the actual shop.
Yeah. Get
an idea of what you want, message him directly and get it for cheaper. So thank you, Mike. Tom is, I'm going to still need to speak to Tom from Geno52 because he's actually running a Necromunda campaign at Incom Gaming, and that seems to be going quite well. So I need to, once we've worked out how to record on Skype or whatever software we're going to use, because like I say, once me and Erin have moved, and there will be times where we can't get to somewhere, but we could, like the weather stopping us, we could have still recorded the podcast if we had worked out how to do the recording from the software. So we'll be looking into that. John Payne for the Necromunda posters, because he's got the high resolution ones. So if you look for John Payne, if you type that into the search when you're on our group, you'll find the pictures, and then so I'm going to definitely use them. That's going to be an extra bit that I'm also going to do to the MDF terrain, get some posters up on there.
They look cool
and they look sweet. I think I've got a wanted poster of us three.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. When we were on as part of do you remember in the Overlords where they were putting on people on wanted posters? And one of the guys from part of one of the messenger groups, I think it might have been Henry that did it for me. Henry Steele, the awesome painter, Henry, of Cult of Paint. I think it might have been him that did it on the wanted poster. So I'm going to get lots of mini ones of them as well. And then, so thank you, John. There's James Ewing, which is Ewing Miniatures on Facebook. He's the one who did that kick-ass Orlock model with the minigun.
Yes.
It's pretty much sculpted, pretty much only out of green stuff. That's pretty damn cool. I've been chatting to him on Messenger. There's 2 podcasts that I wanted to talk about that are available as well. There's 2 Peas in a Pod. I've always wanted to call it 2 Peas in a Drop Pod, but it's 2 Peas in a Pod. They talk, it's a bit similar to us, but it's not post-apocalyptic themed. It's just they play loads of different game systems. They just talk about it, and they somehow managed to release every 2 weeks, so that's pretty impressive.
Pretty good.
And the Pro Painted podcast, which is one I've just got into, but that was from listening to 2 Peas in a Pod, because they're very much about community and happy to advertise different groups.
Yeah.
And the Pro Painted podcast is pretty cool, and that's just about hobby stuff. So it's about one of them's made an awesome Bellacore model and's been doing loads of green stuff sculpting, so they talk about that. And one of them, the most recent episode, was about how to create a hobby desk and bits and pieces, how you hobby and stuff. So that was quite helpful for me, because I'm going to be starting my own hobby desk when I move out and get my own room.
That's the only when I go and view a flat, that's the first thing I look for.
That's exactly
where's my gaming space, where's my hobby space.
Oh, exactly the same. So it's like my wife's working out the furniture for the rest of the house that we need, and I've already planned out what I want for my room. And I already know
my room.
The girls aren't coming in my room.
A great big lock. That's where you.
See, I'm trying to find a flat, so I've already, it's quite hard to find a flat with an extra room for hobbying. So
that's going to be,
it's going to be tough.
Why do you think I moved to Bedford? 4-bedroom house for like a 1-bedroom flat in London. Insane. But that's it, unless you guys have anything that you've noticed or any thank yous you've got.
Are we talking about stuff that we've seen on the Facebook group? So I've got Trevor's, I'm going to call them World Warriors. If anyone's ever seen the old
Jace.
80s, like Jason the World Warriors, the old 80s cartoon.
Awesome.
So Trevor's vehicles that he's making at the moment, they kind of remind me of that, so I call them World Warriors. I've got Carl Walker's Orlock Gang and cinematic pics. I think the way that he's taken the pictures and added all the muzzle flashes and the smoke and the way he's taken the pictures, and he's painted up the whole gang already. Like, fair play to him. Like, some nice stuff. I've got Michael Green, Goliath Gang. The way he's named his gang, he's done it with some graffiti on the bases. Yeah,
really
was
cool.
Really good.
It's lucky they've got no double-barreled names. Otherwise, you're going to need a
exactly. No, I think the way he's done that is really smart.
Yeah.
Really nice, and it's just great to see everyone's progress on the Orlocks. I know they've only been out for a couple of weeks now, but a lot of people come a long way with them, and it's good to see that stuff on the site.
It's a reflection of the models just being easy to paint. I'm not discrediting people's abilities and stuff like that. I mean, some models some models are just really tedious to paint. And people have a struggle just to get motivated to do them. But maybe these ones, for whatever reason, the sculpts on them are just enthusing people to just bash them out quick, so to speak.
But yeah, no, I mean, and then there's just all the cool conversions that people have been doing with the new Orlock models as well. But yeah, I mean, everyone, please just keep it up. The group's really cool. I enjoy going on it every day. The stuff we see is really good, and it's just a nice mix of terrain and models and conversions and painting. And yeah, everyone just keep it up. It's really positive group. There's no moaning. There's no nothing, and there's no rules questions, which is nice. Because I wouldn't give you the right answer.
We'll give you an answer.
Yeah, it's not the right one.
Go to the other group.
Yeah, I did post the FAQs, but then I did also write, please don't discuss them. It's just a reference. I don't want to get into... Yeah, there's other groups to discuss that stuff. Like I've said, there's different groups for different things, and there are plenty. And I know when I have rules questions, I don't ask them on our group. I'll ask it on someone else's because I don't know the answer to it. So
I'm saying we're a bunch of thickos, so you're going to go and ask someone who's a bit...
If I knew someone that was on the group, I would ask them directly. If I knew... But it doesn't take much to know questions better than me, but... Yeah. I don't like getting into the sort of rules debates that some of the things can go in. It kind of spirals out of control. And no one really has the exact answer, so no one's really right. So that's the end of our podcast. The next one is very soon. We did actually work out the date, and it was the 1st. Yeah, Sunday the 1st, which is Easter Sunday, and we'll get it out before Salute, if that's relevant to...
Should be.
Maybe.
I think, what is Salute? 12th of...
Yeah.
12th, that should be fine.
Yeah, 12. I can imagine you've done it in 12 days.
Well, hopefully I'm looking forward for that. I should be picking up the White Dwarf, or this month's White Dwarf, hopefully tomorrow, which will give me a chance to start cracking on with some G-Still stuff.
And I've got to speak to Games Workshop, because... I used to be able to buy that magazine in so many different places. It's so difficult. Unless I'm driving past the Games Workshop, I'm really struggling to get the magazine.
I know Smith's does it.
I could subscribe, but...
I think I normally wouldn't consider subscribing, but I looked at my bookshelf this afternoon when I was taking the stuff to put into a bag, and I suddenly thought, I've bought the last 8 months worth of White Dwarf magazines. And you think, I should have got...
Do they offer you anything for subscribing?
I think you get a couple free, with reduced cost or guaranteed delivery on the release date and things like that.
Because I don't play 40k anymore.
Yeah, there's less in it.
Yeah, and I don't play OS, and if it doesn't have Necromunda...
Oh, so you stopped 40k?
Well, just for the moment, I can only get my head around so many game systems, and because I play the 7th edition still with...
30k.
With 30k, I can't 30k and 40k and Necromunda in my head. It's just I don't play enough for any of those to sit in, so I can manage 30k because I've played enough 7th edition, and I'm just learning Necromunda. I can't do it. I know my brain won't do 8th as well.
I wish they brought 30k into the 8th edition.
I'm sure it can.
What?
I don't know.
Controversial.
Yeah, I've got a tank that can fire a las cannon over that direction, even though the gun can only point that direction. I don't know. Anyway, that's a different day, I think. But yeah, so that's the end of the podcast. leave on the positive note.
I heard that 30k is for kids.
No, that's the views of Erin. Feel free to message Erin.
And while you're doing that, give us a 5-star review.
But not because of Erin's wrong ideas of 30k. But yeah, so that's the end of the podcast. Thank you very much. Sorry for the delay. We'll try not to get that happen again. But if you can speak to the people who are affecting the weather, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
try and stop it snowing. Yeah, try and stop it snowing. That would be awesome. And yes, next time we'll be discussing bounty hunters and other such hive scum, the gene stealer cults, and what we're looking forward to in Salute. So have a good 4 weeks, maybe less, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
And that was the end of Chronicles from the Underhive, a Necromunda and Post Apocalyptic podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. All the things we talk about in this podcast can be found at the Chronicles from the Underhive Facebook group, where we'll post up links to all of the websites we discussed and the current projects we're working on. Come and join us and post up your Necromunda projects. We hope to see you there, and may you never roll a double on your gambling den. Welcome to segment 7, games played. It's
Pro player. Oh, Necromunda. I was like, Necrons?
We're going to keep that in the recording as well because we are recording.
When you say we, you mean Erin,
Yeah.
the editor.
Oh yeah, the editor. Right. Welcome to segment. We're having a few technical issues because we're talking about Erin's diarrhea because he's taken too many cough tablets today. So we're actually on segment 6. Well, at least we've got some stuff for the boot a bit at the end. So segment 6, Conversion Corner.